And if it's Thursday, then it's Fishing and Huntin today. And I'm your studio producer, Sid Davis. And I have none other than the honor and pleasure of introducing one of our Hall of Famers of the media business. And that would be none other than Mr. Jerry Cripp himself. Along with our guest tonight, the president of the Lake Erie Charter Boat Association, and that would be none other than Captain Paul Pacholski. And with all that being said, I'm passing it over to you guys.
Thanks, Sidney. Great intro, Captain Paul. How are you, sir?
Oh, absolutely fabulous.
Can you believe, I don't know, how many 90-degree days have you had up there this summer so far? Just a guess. What do you think?
I think I heard 17 so far.
Are you kidding me? You've had more than we've had by far.
I don't know. They say we're a little bit below average, but that's coming up this week. They're supposed to be back into the heat and humidity.
That's coming too down here. I'll tell you what, when I hear people complain about that, you know what I tell them? Think February.
Yeah, I wish we could make a little deal between February and July.
Well, we had some of the guys up in Minnesota, and they have really up there a lot of 90-degree days up there, which is very unusual for them up there. So I told them when they get to they only got 2 seasons up there, winter and waiting for winter. And I told them when you get to your winter season, just think back to those 90 90-degree days you had in July. And you'll probably wish you had a few more of those. But sort of strange with the weather. And, I don't think a lot of people, we know what it does to our waterfowl seasons and our waterfowl migration. It's been doing that probably for about 20 years. But it also affects fishing a lot, too. And, even a bad day of fishing is always better than a good day at work. No question about that. But Paul, a little bit on, and you've been, the guide on the big lake for a while, and you're happily retired, but still president forever, probably, of the Charter Boat Association. Unless they have a meeting, they can't find you for a couple meetings. Paul's not here. They probably would say, that's okay, we'll do it when he shows up. Go ahead.
We have been very strong in a voice for the betterment of Lake Erie, and we just have things going so well that, I don't mind it because I have a great rapport. We took the governor out 3 weeks ago now, and that's the second time down, and he missed last year because of COVID, which was a good excuse because he would have been violating his own order. But he brings his grandkids down, his wife, and all his children, and they make it a family adventure, and it is so wonderful to see a person, our governor especially, enjoy the outdoors like he does, and encourage his family to do the same thing. I mean, that's a blessing we have.
Oh, there's no question about that. Let me ask you this. You know him because you've been out with him and he's been on your boat for these events since he's been in office. But how is he on the hunting side? Does he hunt at all,
I really don't know. We never discussed it, but the way he's backing the purchase of the land, I gotta believe that he is or was a hunter, and if he's not, he's an avid outdoorsman, and he loves his photography, and maybe he wouldn't hunt with a gun anymore, but I'm darn sure that camera of his goes everywhere in the outdoors.
That's okay. As long as he's outside, that's all that matters. That's a good point to bring up. Everything outdoors And we say that too. Everything outdoors is not all hunting and fishing. It's the idea you get out and enjoy the outdoors for whatever that outdoor activity may be, even if it's nothing else than a nice walk. It's fun, and it's amazing what you see outdoors. It just absolutely, positively is amazing. It's quiet time when you get to the lake. I mean, it's just like everything shuts down. It's nothing but the lake and getting ready to have a nice fishing trip. And it's just amazing all the things that happen in nature that people, if they don't fish, they don't hunt, they don't get outside, they just totally don't get to enjoy. And that's a great point you bring up about that land purchase here in Ohio. We talked about this earlier today when we were setting this up. Those are the kind of land purchases you think of when you see 30,000, 40,000 acre purchases. You think, oh, where was that out west? Not in a state like Ohio where you think, my God, if you had a 300-acre purchase, that was a big deal. That's amazing, isn't it, what we've got here going with that purchase?
Well, yeah, and the opportunities it's going to open up for people. You know, as land gets tougher and tougher to find, so many people are leasing the land, and what would have been, yours to, I mean, back in our days, yours and mine, when we would want to go hunting, we'd knock on a door, we ask politely, and more times than not, we got to, go ahead, and if you see this or that, would you take care of it for me? And please, and we establish great rapport. Anymore, it seems, and you can't blame the farmers. If somebody say, hey, I'll give you $5,000 for the exclusive right to hunt your land, well, let me see. No, I'd rather give it away.
Let me see. Would it take that long for let me see? I don't think. Yeah. But, and that's true about the days when you could knock on the door, and that's exactly what farmers would say to you. If you see anything going on, please let us know. They were big fans of no hunting on Sunday because the Farm Bureau was big against Sunday hunting, and farmers told me that was their one day that they knew they didn't have somebody on their land that did not have permission to be on their land. When you get a farmer's got 500-600 acres or more, it's hard to keep track of that every day. So we became their eyes, and you know that. And we found newborn calves, helping that they didn't know were out there in instances like that. So that's important to do that. And then when Christmas time comes, what you do, you take them a nice little gift, and if they need help with whatever a little bit, you volunteer, you get that. But those days.
You even ask them, you got 4 rabbits. Would you like a couple for dinner?
Yep. And if you had the time and if you could do it, you take them back to them already dressed and ready to go in the frying pan, and they appreciate that. Especially as they got older, they appreciated that type of thing. But yeah, I'm afraid to say you're absolutely right. And we're seeing more of the lease deal. I think another thing we're seeing here in Ohio too is we're seeing people going together, a little group, their little hunting group that they do, and buying a piece of land. Whether it's just 15, 20 acres or whatever the case may be, and that becomes their hunting land. They're doing that too. So trends are here. That's the way things are trending now, and I don't see where it's going to change anytime anywhere in the near future to you. It's going to be this way.
No. And I feel by doing that, you're taking a lot of the young people out. Like you're taking them right out of the gate, because not only can they not afford to lease the land, heck, we probably were scraping our dimes together to buy a box of shells.
Well, thank God. Gas back then was 20 cents a gallon. That helped a little.
I don't remember 20, but I got 32 in my memory forever.
Got $1? Let's get 5 gallons quick. What the hell? You got $2? We'll fill up.
Well, we go to the gas station and say, give me $1 worth. Oh, you want? Yeah, go ahead.
$1's worth. What are you going to put that $1's worth in, a Dixie cup? That ain't going to work. And then after you got that, you stopped and picked up some 32 beer, and you were ready to go.
Absolutely, life was large.
We lived well, my friend. We lived well, no question about it. I hate to think what we went to school for in college. The prices you look at today, what it was then, it's about 20 times more than it was then. But yeah, times have changed. There's no question about it. But really, and you look at what we've got here in Ohio, from Lake Erie all the way down here to the Ohio River, and stop in between at any of the rivers and streams. You've got an outstanding opportunity here in this state to really have a great time fishing. There's no question about that. World-class walleye. I'm beginning to think we better scratch up the world-class and just say universe-class walleye. This is just becoming absolutely phenomenal up here with walleye, isn't it?
Oh, my gosh. Here we are in the first week of August. I went out today, and there was 5 of us, and we got our 30 walleye, some of the biggest fish I've harvested this year. And we're sitting there among ourselves complaining because last week we had a good wind, and we were done at 8:30. And the day before, I think we were done at 10. Here it took us all the way till noon. Can you imagine how hard we had to work to catch 30 quality walleyes and a dozen jumbo perch? I mean,
That's crazy.
I had to come home and take a nap, Jerry. It was horrible.
That's absolutely unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
And that's absolutely God's honest truth. The fishery this year has been phenomenal. I mean, it really has. Whether you're a caster or whether you're a troller, I have always been a caster. I personally think trolls live under bridges and they try to steal little kids, but that's just my opinion. It's a very effective way to fish, and it's just not my style. I go to Florida in the wintertime now that I'm retired, and I'll take about 100 walleyes with me, quick flayed up, and we have a couple of block parties. Yep. And for the new guy in the neighborhood, you wouldn't believe how popular I am.
Oh, I guess I will.
After the first one, it's like, hi, Paul. Hi, Paul.
You need help, Paul?
Yeah.
What do you want me to bring?
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
like
I can believe. I can believe there's no. I mean, what quality? Always got to tell people, my God, if you enjoy eating walleye, when you go to your store, wherever you buy your ski food, and you see the price for fresh walleye, if you get it on sale, it's probably about, $13-14 a pound, maybe.
This year they dropped the price a little bit because the quota's so high.
Yeah.
With over 1 million fish. Yeah. The commercial's got a pretty good chunk. And don't try to even put an estimate on yellow perch because they're way up. They're about last I bought $25 a pound.
Oh my God, are you kidding?
I know, and I'm thinking, yes, they're delicious, but let's see, lobster, yellow perch, about to say it.
And then you know what you can do. You can go, if you're a senior, you can go get your license for $10, and if you're anybody else, you go get your license for about $20, and you're good to go. And you can catch all the limits of those fish that you want, can't you?
Oh yeah. And the perch so far this year has been kind of spotty. One day we'll just whip on them, and other days. Now, if I was to suggest, if it's a couple, 3 people, and they're thinking about coming down perch fishing, yes. I'm sorry to say that I don't think just yet that we could base a charter on it and reliably get 8 tickets of fish. But a couple of people, like I told you before, you go out and get 45 of these perch, and they're running in the 8 to 10 inch range. 10s are more common than just about any other size. They're probably some of the biggest perch we have ever had in the Western Basin. And we got the small ones to go with it, which is good. Like we talked about, if you don't have the small ones, you don't look at much of the future. But gosh, 3 to a pound, a person, a regular person, could probably only eat 2, maybe 3 perch tops. So with a limit of 3, you get 10 meals out of it, and that's pretty good. Then you get them superstars of eating that, they won't take any potato salad or coleslaw or anything else. It's just plain
meal fit for a king, my friend. A little bit of perch or walleye, or a little both would be good. A little bit of French fry, maybe coleslaw, cold beer, hush puppy, and even what else is there? You don't need anything else.
No. In fact, right now with the garden, it's cucumbers, tomatoes, a little onion, and a little vinegar on that, and then just a plate of fish. And I'm a happy man.
Oh, there's no doubt. That's all you need. There's no question about that. Well, when these limits came in, remember back, and this is in, my God, I don't know, you would know, when did we have 0 limits on perch? Was that the late 60s or late?
I don't know. We've never had. We did have a cut up until the 60s, let's see, probably about the 80s, early 90s. We went from unlimited to 50.
Mm-hmm. Remember when it was 100? Wasn't it 100?
Was unlimited.
Okay.
No, unlimited. So,
okay.
And you only did that a couple of times where you fill your cooler with it because back in those days we didn't have cleaning people that would cut your perch for you. And after you took your little spoon and you started scraping scales and for 3 days you were scraping about your hair, your eyebrows, and God knows where else they'd get to. You'd say, I don't need that bait perch next time. Maybe I'll be a little more selective.
Well, the reason I asked you that is because the Vision's idea was when we went to these bag limits, the 30 that we've got now, and there for a while it was east of the Europe here, west of the Europe here, one or the other was 25 there for a while. Now you're down to 10 now over that way. But the idea was to get big jumbo perch back into Lake Erie, and apparently it's working because you're seeing big fish.
Yep. Now, the limit, what you're referring to was west of the Huron Pier. We had some poor years of recruitment, and the Central Basin had some excellent years, and they were kept at 30, and we were at 25. And now the table has turned a little bit where the Western Basin has had very good hatches, and we are at 30 and they're at 10. I'm hoping for them this year will be a good recruitment year for perch. I know for walleyes, and I've heard for perch, the minnow catchers are catching a lot of young of the year walleyes and yellow perch. And I don't know if you or your viewers, listeners, know how they catch them, but they go out at night in the dark of the moon and they set out lanterns. And the lanterns attract them to their area. The boat pulls up, snuffs out the lantern, turns on a very strong spotlight around their boat, and then starts turning off a light or two at a time, lowers a big 4x5 net to the bottom on a winch, and then just gets those minnows to boil or ball up right in the light, and then they lift the net in and capture them. So I don't know. I was talking to the minnower day before yesterday, and he said that he is having a tough time finding places where there aren't all those young walleyes. There are so many. There are so many young walleyes out there. I talked to Fishin, and they confirmed that there was a hatch, but they will not put a number until the July numbers, the August numbers come out. And that's what they hold our feet to. So that's fine. I be right on with your information. Well, anecdotally, there's a lot of them out there.
What's a dozen minnows going for now up there? Do you know offhand?
They don't sell them by the dozen, they sell them by the scoop.
Oh, the scoop?
Yeah. As they're buying them wholesale, they used to get them for $25 a gallon. Now they're paying $65 a gallon.
Oh, my God.
So you're going to depend on who you get your minnows from. You're going to pay between $5 and $6 a scoop. And I would recommend that you get, if you got 3 people, you better get at least 3 scoops, and a 4th one, is not
out of the question. Yeah. What do you think? What do you think is in a scoop? Just a ballpark idea. What do you think? 20?
Oh, per scoop is anywhere between $5 and $6, depending on what place you get it from.
But how many minnows do you think would be in a scoop? I know.
You're going to have enough for. It depends on the size. We had some real big minnows the other day, and cut them in 3 pieces. And I kind of like cutting my minnows because they're a little thicker, a little heavier. They hold on to the hook better.
Good point. Good point. And cut bait or live bait, it pretty well don't make any difference if the fishing's good, does it?
No, it doesn't matter. Live bait isn't very lively once you stick a big old hook in them.
No, that's true.
It's not like crappie fishing. We kind of light hook those minnows, and so they swim around under the bobber.
Yeah.
If you did that, the first time a perch would look at it cross-eyed, you'd lose the minnow and not catch it because you're in 25 feet of water, 20 feet of water. You're all over the place.
That's a good point. A little different than 3 foot of crappie water, isn't it? What about now, too? I agree with you, too. The only way to fish is casting. There's no question about that. Trolling, and, people want to troll, that's fine to troll. But, there's nothing like having a rod in hand when you're out fishing. I think that was the whole idea when we invented the sport many, many years ago was, put a rod in hand. You didn't see a troller out then, did we? Rod in hand's the way to go.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people that come down that really don't have the fishing expertise. Now, I personally would enjoy, teaching people, giving them the everything you ever wanted to know lessons and work with them again. But, there are some people that just like to sit back, relax, enjoy a beautiful day on the lake, see a perfect sunset or sunrise, and just reel in fish. And that's absolutely fine, too. It's all very effective ways to do it.
Good point. Absolutely. Whatever way, just as long as they're doing it, we don't really care how they do it, as long as it's legal.
No, just enjoy your day.
Absolutely. Paul, what do you think? We talked earlier, too, about these quotas for this perch situation. Are you alarmed a little bit with what's going on with the perch population in the other 2 basins, or are you thinking, okay, it's going to pass? What do you think?
I think it's going to pass. I think we have natural ebbs and flows. And, just like we talked about 10 years ago, the Western Basin was low on fish, and the Central Basin had high abundance. Well, things have turned around. Is there a reason for that? I don't think so. We've had some pretty wacky springs lately. snow in what was that? Almost May, wasn't it? This year we had snow in the beginning of May, and I mean that affects spawns, and
absolutely.
Central Basin, it's not a put and take fishery. This is a natural fishery. All of our fish are natural recruitment, except the steelhead. I got to take that back. But our perch and walleye and bass are all natural recruitment. So if nature blesses us with it's like turkey. We had some rotten cold springs, and you have poor turkey reproduction. Same way with walleyes, and same way with perch. Now, this year I thought was a rotten spring, and I couldn't see how we were going to have any kind of hatch, but yet we're blessed with a hatch. So it just goes to show you how little old Captain Paul knows sometimes.
If it's going to ask me about that Lake Erie, though, I would bet my money on Captain Paul. There's no question about that. Let me ask you this. I know the quotas for the commercial fishing are way down as far as what they can do. Is the quota for next season, would they consider their season already posted, or is that yet to come?
Oh, that's yet to come. Now, I was on the committee that helped form what we call the TAC, Total Allowable Catch. Mm-hmm. And what happens with that is they take best science and figure out what is the current population of harvestable, whether it be yellow perch or walleyes. Mm-hmm. And then they take 20% of that, which is figured natural mortality, and they give the sports fishermen 10% and the commercials 10%. Now, in Ohio, we choose to give our 10%. In Canada, they pretty much hold it and give it all to their commercials. Okay. But fair is fair. They have a quota, and they abide by their quota. They have to take their fish directly to the processing houses where they're weighed and calculated. Same as our fishermen have to go in, our commercial fishermen, they call in and tell the DNR what time they're going to arrive at dock and how many boxes of perch or that they have. They're not walleyes. But a box of perch weighs about 100 pounds. And then the DNR has the option of knowing where and when you're landing. So you never know, or they never know, if you're going to have somebody there checking you. And they also, all vessels, commercial vessels, are carrying transponders now that they can keep a track of where you're fishing and where you're going, and if you made a little side journey. So it's very it's very well policed and very well up and up. So. Mm-hmm. And everybody can make a living because, what people don't realize, what a walleye, now they can live up to 20 years. And we have documented fish that are as old as 28 years old. Mm-hmm. But a perch, generally speaking, has a 6-year life expectancy. And they diminish by, each age class diminishes by approximately 50% every year. So if you had a huge age class, next year it'll still be huge. But give it 3 years from now, you keep taking that 50%, and it gets smaller and smaller, and that's natural mortality. So they can justify why you can have a commercial fishery because it's a shame to waste the resource.
Yeah, do we commercial fish, U.S., we don't commercial fish at all up there, do we, in the...
Oh, yes, we do. Yes,
Western Basin?
Yes, Western and Central. There's Western, Central, Eastern is divided up into 3 different zones, and there's a commercial perch harvest, no walleye harvest, just a commercial perch harvest for all three sections. And this year, the commercial harvest in the Western Basin went up about 30%. Central Basin got cut last year by 50%, and they got cut another 50 or 60% this year. Wow. So they had very minimal quotas this year, and trying to give the fish a chance to recoup. But, you know, we've been low on numbers of walleyes. I mean, it wasn't that long. You and I were talking when we were around the 22 million walleye mark. And now we're up over 100 million, 120. I don't know. After 100 million, it really doesn't matter, does it? There's just a lot of dang fish out there.
I think the last I saw was 110, somewhere 110 million. And you know, I think, okay, well, that's great. Now, did you guys come up with that number? You sure it's not 100 million? I was going to say, you sure it's not 110 million in one?
Yeah, well, they do approximation. Now they study the hatch rate, you know, if they do their trawls, and they do several of those a year. They do one in June, one in July. August trawl is the big one that they set the number with, and that is combined with the Canadians do the same thing. So Ohio does 34 different locations where they do trawls in the Western Basin. And Canada, I think, does 32. And then they compare their data. They estimate hatch and abundance. And then they use their well, back in our day, it was slide rules, but now I'm sure there's a computer program for it, and do their numbers. Well, I call them gazintas, 6 gazinta 18, you know, 3 times, but they do their gazintas, and they figure out, you know, with the 50% rule, and then they also do a year-old survey where they target the 1-year-old fish and check their abundance and how they should, how they managed over the winter.
Well, and we're having these phenomenal hatches up there. And, you know, like you said, well, we're going to find out, and we talked about maybe being another one of those kind of hatches coming up. We'll find out at the end of the month about that. But what do you think is causing these kind of hatches up there to continue the way they are? Now, granted, we know there's an abundance of orange fish up there in that lake. People at one point thought with all the game fish up there in that lake, they were some concern they were going to eat themselves out of house and home up there. That apparently is not going to happen. But other than the forage fish population the way it is, plankton, thank God we didn't have the carp issue up there where we lost all the plankton. That's baby game fish food for our game fish, so we're good there. But what do you think is causing these phenomenal hatches like this that we're having up there, other than that fact that we've got plenty of food up there?
Well, there's 2 main factors, and weather is one. But one of the variables that have come into play in the last 5-6 years with these abundant hatches is high water. I mean, we have higher lake levels. I think I heard today we're 55 inches above low water datum. Well, low water datum is the lowest water ever recorded, and that's what's put on charts. Mm-hmm. So 55 inches above low water datum, typically our lake runs around 32 to 34 inches above low water datum. So we have an extra almost 2 feet of water there, and that gives a lot more substrate and a little bit more protection. And the algal blooms, the beneficial algal blooms, have been right on time, spot on. The diatoms in the spring, when you see that nice brown, healthy, clear water, that's a diatom. That's a type of algae, and they're really a beautiful thing under a microscope. Not that I'm a nerd, but I think they're really cool. And that and green algae is the perfect food for zooplankton, and zooplankton is what those young of the year eat. And if you have abundant zooplankton, even if you had a mediocre year, you'll have a high percentage of fish being able to live through that poor spawn, and the natural abundance of food will make that poor spawn actually look good because they didn't die of starvation or get blown out to the center of the lake where, two eyes and a wiggle is prey for everything, those wild fish.
Well, really, probably then the big factor in what it comes down to then from that would be the fact that there is so much plankton up there, and that's causing you not to, when you have these mega hatches, we're not losing a lot of those fish before they even have a chance because of that abundance of food, you think?
Correct, yes. Yeah. I mean, you can have the biggest spawn with the highest recruitment ever, and if you get those offshore winds that push those larval fish out into the clear water that's offshore, that just makes them prey for everything.
Good point. Absolutely, that's a great point. Easy food, easy pickings for whoever's out there looking for a snack, and everything's out there looking for a snack. There's no question about that. They'll eat their own if they have to, won't they?
Yeah, if they weren't looking for a snack, we wouldn't be very successful as anglers.
That's for sure. Thank goodness they do once in a while like something a little different. Our bait presentations, that's for sure. Well, let me ask you this. We continue to go the way we're going on these hatches with walleye. Are we seeing in the future, whether it's near future or a little bit more than that, are we going to see a bag limit change?
I don't believe so. And this is a pretty frequent question, but here's why. If you think about it, any lake that you hear about that the fish are really on fire, it takes a lot more pressure because a lot more people are going there and harvesting fish. Well, Lake Erie experienced that this year. We had a lot of boats chasing walleyes this year, more boats than I've seen in probably a decade. So with the higher catch rates and the higher number of people coming down for a day, 2 days, or a week to come and fish, the more fish come out of the lake. So I'm thinking that we're going to handle this for a while yet with the 6 fish limit. And actually, Jerry, 6 fish, that's a person would be doing well to eat one by themselves. That's 6 meals, and we are not bound by a possession limit. So if you're down for a couple, 3, 4, 5 days, you can take home whatever number of days you're down fishing times 6 fish, and that gets to be a considerable amount of fish. And after that, I'm afraid that the resource would get wasted.
Well, now let me ask you this. No bag limit change. How about a length limit change? Do you see that might be something that they might look at instead of having it, maybe making it a half inch shorter or 3/4 or even as much as an inch shorter than what it is now?
Well, I'll tell you what, 3/4 of an inch shorter would be wonderful.
You think?
I mean, or a 1/4 of an inch. I can't tell you how many walleyes we throw back in May, June, and July that are 14 and 3/4, 14 and 7/8, 14 and 15 16ths. The DNR really doesn't care. They want the long swing of the tail past 15, and you better figure that if you throw that fish in the cooler and I don't say they shrink, but they don't get any bigger in there.
I think they shrank a little bit, Paul. I really do. That's a good point you bring up, too. Always catch a little bigger because you may lose a little bit in that cooler. That's a great point. Because I think it happens. I really, really do. So
I know it happens.
Yep, I agree. And how are they, by the way, with checking people coming in? Are they still pretty big time making sure people are legal with these length limits?
Yes, they are.
Okay,
now,
good.
Do I feel like they're overly enforcing? No. For my money, I play it completely by the book, and I hope everybody else does. So if I see a game warden and he waves me over, I happily comply. Can I give you a pop or something to drink? It's a hot day. Thank you for doing your job. I'm thrilled about it. And we are, as you know, our chart organization strongly supports the DNR. And whenever there's a project, this year we went out and I was personally responsible for over 200 walleyes that I was on the boat that we went out and caught with the DNR and put radio telemetry tags in them so we could have a better knowledge about where these fish go and what they do. Now they have a very strong program in the spring where they get the transient fish that come in to spawn, and they'll capture those with gill nets and they'll implant them with tags. But these radio transmitters are different in the summertime because these are supposedly home range for the Western Basin fish. And these radio tags yield some incredible information.
Oh, absolutely.
It is just, and they use it for, whether it be sturgeon, they put them in muskie, they put them in they put them in whitefish, and one other. But it's remarkable the information that they can get about their habits, where they go, and what kind of depth they prefer. And they're using it a lot with the invasive carp down also.
Well, thank God we haven't had big issues up there with that, that's for sure. Let me ask you this, before we get into the one last segment we definitely want to touch on, and that's funding and how we're doing with that. But I wanted to ask you about, too, we're so famous for all these different species up there in the lake, and now we're hearing more. Well, we got to touch on you had mentioned earlier, the smallies are coming back in a way. We know what that largemouth population is up there. That's another unbelievable story. But how about the smallie, Paul? Are we coming back in the Western Basin? Because there was one point in time, and it's been a few years back, where they thought maybe we'd see some 6-7 pound smallies come out of the Western Basin. Where are we at now? What do you think with the smallie population up in the Western Basin?
I would say the smallie population is so healthy. It's not as robust as it was in the 90s. But, we used to think that we'd go out, catch 50 to 100 smallmouth, and that was your average day. We thought, that's what it should be. Well, now maybe your average day is more 25, 30, but that's still a darn good day when you look at these little footballs that we're catching. I mean, they just look like something Peyton Manning would throw, I mean, they're just
gorgeous fish. And they're really gorgeous fish, aren't they?
And it's really funny. A friend of mine's son is a tournament kayak angler.
Yep.
And he went off the breakwater of our marina. And he said virtually every cast, he must have caught 75, 80 bass that were anywhere from largemouth to smallmouth to rock bass. But he says, you just fish those jetties, and whether you're a bass fisherman in a bass boat or in a kayak, what a wonderful opportunity. And those bass, you're right on with that high increase of largemouth, but they're very plentiful and fun to catch. And, that's small boat opportunity. And, you look at a lot of these end of canals and stuff. People are catching crappie, bluegill. I mean, our fishery is very robust.
I'm telling you, there's largemouth trout you never see, and I've never seen going on now for a number of years that it's going to become a world-class largemouth destination too there before it's all said and done, because more of the outdoor media and outdoor outlets for outdoor news and things like that are learning more and finding out more about the largemouth fishery of the western basin of Lake Erie. Got to mention that Sandusky Bay too with that catfish. There's another fish up there that's getting big time recognition as being a great place to go catfishing. That's Sandusky Bay.
Oh my God, yes. I hear about these numbers, and and I believe the people. I know the people. I believe them what they're saying. 7,500 catfish in a night. I'm thinking, sweet Lord, what a fishery, I'm telling you, it's, the 2-pound catfish, that's restaurant grade, and channel cats, and they're catching them things up there like you wouldn't believe. So I guess we could say the rascals are fighting too.
Yeah,
I mean, they give you a great fight.
Oh, they do. They pull good. There's no question about that. I caught some of this thing years ago when we were getting a boat fixed in that dealer up there at Sandusky Bay. I forget the name of that dealership, but just wait for that to get done. Just walking the docks there. Caught some of the biggest crappie I've ever seen in my life come out of that place. That place is a crappie magnet too. There's a lot of big crappie in Sandusky Bay.
We got small boat opportunity, we have large boat opportunity, we have shoreline availability. I mean, there's just so much that I love where I live.
Well, I don't blame you. I mean, it's a gem. There's no better way to say it. It's an absolute gem. There's no question about that. And just to see what that freshwater fishery is doing up there, not only for our own basin, our western basin, but the other two, the eastern and the central, it's just a phenomenal fishery. And we got world-class steelhead we got to throw in there too. And I'm telling you, Ohio, you don't need to leave our state. We're blessed, to buy a resident license here and be able to fish in your home state and have the kind of opportunities you got to fish in your home state like we do here in Ohio. We are truly, truly blessed. There's no question about it. Paul, as far as funding issues, Fed, state, local level, are we seeing the monies we need to keep things going up there?
Absolutely. When I was talking with the governor a couple of weeks ago, I was complimenting him on his H2 Ohio funding. Now, a lot of that goes to curtail excessive phosphorus running in, but there is, as I recall, it's $43 million this year that is going to be set aside for wetlands restoration and reconstruction. And, that is another thing that people don't necessarily think enough about. But, if you're a duck hunter, wetlands are critical. If you're a fisherman, wetlands are critical. That's where, the crappies, the bluegills, the bass, a lot of them will spawn in those wetlands. And plus, it's protection for their fry or the larval fish, the weed growth, the grasses and stuff. And, whether it be the frogs, the birding. The birding is just getting crazy here. They're I took a group yesterday. I'm running a tour boat, and we went up, and they went. I go one way, and I see a little bit of some nature and some pretty houses and just pretty waterway. Or I go the other way, and we do a port tour where you see the ships that come in and everything. I'm showing people the port, and while I'm doing it, I pointed out 8 different bald eagles. And wow! And this is in the port. This isn't in the wildlife area.
Yeah, that's amazing.
There was 3 projects that are being funded by H2 Ohio, where in the city of Toledo, where they have taken some of these old, they call them Penn, or Penn 7, which was an old harbor for a freighter where it used to pull in there, and they've converted it into a wetlands and have it help purify the water. But the life that has come with these wetlands is just unbelievable.
Yeah,
and that H2 Ohio money funding at its best. Whether it's for the sportsman, it's for the birder, it's for anybody that goes outside, because the birds that are coming down in the spring, we just had these plovers that are on the endangered list. First time seen in 60 years, had a nest at Maumee Bay State Park and successfully reared 2 young. Well, they're standing in line to see these birds. It's almost, they need crowd control. I'm thinking, I don't know, can you eat them?
I wonder how that robin would be. Just kidding. All done.
Yeah, they do.
All done.
People,
people down south do have been known to eat robins.
It just goes with the diversity of the sportsman. Our sportsman's dollars buy a lot of this stuff, but the birders still get to benefit from the beautiful marsh and wetlands like Howard Marsh and all these that are just coming on. And, now they're going to allow duck hunting in the back of Howard Marsh. And it's going to be like so many of the other state parks where you need, to pull that lucky, ticket in order to get a spot. But wow, to have a premier spot like that for the chance of a drawing for a couple of bucks, put my name in, man. I'm in.
Well, yeah, and that's what, that walking distance almost from Toledo, isn't it, that new Howard Marsh?
Oh, yeah, that's just, it'll be 11 miles east of Toledo.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Yeah, I've been hearing nothing but good stuff about that. And that's a good point you bring up, too. There's another reason that Lake Erie is what it is. It's a birders' destination for people from everywhere that enjoy birding to come up there to see species they're not going to see in a lot of other places, that's for sure. Just a phenomenal place. There's no question about it. And we are truly, truly blessed and lucky to have that region as part of the state of Ohio, that's for sure. Paul, how about algae issues? Nothing so far, and what are you thinking for September?
Well, no, I if you would have called me yesterday, I would have said nothing so far, Jerry. Today we had a black calm on the way in. It turned glass calm. And those are the kind of conditions algae really shows itself. When there's a wind and wave, it mixes up. And today I did see some patches that gave me concern. Now, there is a satellite map called MODIS. And if you look at, there's probably algae in the Western Basin in less than 3%. So, yes, there's algae. It's near shore. It's ugly. But it really hasn't reared its head yet. Now, is it going to? We've had a lot of rain in July, and I'm sure there was some phosphorus and nitrogen runoff, and I'm not diminishing it at all. It's just, I don't know. The experts expect it to be a light bloom, and so far, normally it has have full color by now, and to only have maybe 3 to 5. I can't go as high as 5. I'm going to go with 3% with algae in it. That's not too awful.
No, that's great. That's really good news to hear. Well, my friend, I want to thank you as always. My goodness, always a pleasure talking with the charterboat president of Lake Erie, the forever charterboat association. But we wouldn't care.
No.
We wouldn't care if you were the charterboat president or the charterboat president's helper. We love having you.
That would be fine. I love to play that of our resource.
We love having you on, and we were reminiscing a little earlier today, and I'm thinking probably about at least 15 years you've been with us, because this is 27 years we've been doing radio, so I'm going to say at least 15, probably more than that.
Yeah,
always a pleasure to have you, and let's get back with you in September next month, and we'll get an update and give a little preview of how you think that September and that October fishing up there may really, really be a great time to be on the lake.
People are going to want to get up here for this perch fishing. I'm telling you, they're jumbos, they're dandies.
Well, and that's
talking to you, Jerry, is like talking to an old friend.
Well, we are friends. We both are. I mean, we've known each other for a long time. It's enjoyable talking to you. And that's a good point you bring up, too, Paul, about that fall perch bite, because you know people used to make that spring trek and that fall trek just for that, the perch bite. So October could be good, and we'll find out. We'll get you back in September, okay?
Okay, buddy. Talk to you then.
Yeah, have a good Labor Day weekend, too, and we'll get you probably that week or so right after, okay?
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Paul. There you go, Captain Paul Pacholski, boat president, been for a long time and probably will be for a long time to come. I want to mention real quick, then we're going to get Sydney's going to do a little weather for us. We'll get a sports update real quick before we get out of here. But I want to mention federal. Don't forget, dove season's right around the corner, as is our teal season here in September, too, and the special goose season. You're looking for ammo for all of those seasons. Now's the time to be getting it. And like I said earlier, if you do find a shelf that's got some of that ammo that you need, if there's no limit to the quantity that you can buy, go ahead and give a little bit of extra so you've got that for the upcoming seasons. But as always, when you get ready for the season, it's always good to practice a little bit. I know because of ammo shortages, practice on the range has been down quite a bit this year because people have a little bit of an issue finding ammo to do that with. So these hunting times are going to be a little bit more critical with making sure you're on your target and make that shot count, that's for sure. There's better ammo to do that with than Federal Premium. So whatever the game or whatever the target, make sure it's Federal Premium. Best you can buy for sure. Sydney, a little weather, my friend, and a little bit of sports. Take it away.
Absolutely. Well, you could have been anywhere in the world today, but you chose to be with fishing and hunting today. And with all that being said, we just appreciate you listening. And when it comes to the weather today, in the Midwest, it's a lot of wetness. We're raining. Scattered showers to be exact. If you're in New York, partly sunny. If you happen to be in Tokyo, 86 degrees, passing clouds. Now, if you're in, let's go straight to Amsterdam, 66 degrees. Kuwait City, 97 degrees. Lagos, 77 degrees. Los Angeles, California, 81 degrees. Madrid, 77 degrees. London, England, 61 degrees. Athens, Greece, 82 degrees. Auckland, 52 degrees. Baghdad, pretty warm, 93. Bangkok, 82 degrees. And then you come back to the States here in Miami, 84. Now, getting into some sports updates here, guys. We have the Tokyo Olympics I'll touch base on. If you want to know a little bit more about it, let's just go to the medal count. United States has 29 gold, China 34 silver, and 35 silver for United States, 27 bronze for United States, and China has 16. As you know, Simone Biles dropped, pretty much stepped down due to some personal issues. U.S. men's basketball is advancing to the Olympic finals with a huge comeback win over Australia. So is the United States women's basketball team with a win over, guess who? Australia. So Australia is just not their day right now. Now, getting into a little bit of sports and touching base on the NFL pregame. We have several games coming up, if you didn't mind me running some of those past you. Coming up in week 1, August 12th, Washington at New England, 7:30. That'll be next week when you guys are listening, by the way. We have some updates for you on that. Then August 13th, which will be that Friday, Tennessee at Atlanta, 7 o'clock. Buffalo at Detroit, 7 o'clock. And getting back into some preseason stuff, 8 p.m. prior to this, the Cowboys-Steelers are at, the Cowboys and the Steelers played. And that pretty much right now the score is, before I pass it back, it's halftime. Cowboys 3, Steelers 0. A lot of passing, but so far Mason Rudolph, 6 completions, 9 attempts. And that's pretty much it for like the highlights of the game at this point. Dwayne Haskins, Ohio State guy, 2 attempts, 4 yards. Not a whole lot going on with the preseason at this point. But thank you for listening to your Fishing and Hunting Today Sports Update. This is Sidney Davis, and back to you.
Thank you, Sidney, for that update. Thanks for that weather, too. And if you want a show that's heard about anywhere in the world, we can do a little bit of that worldwide idea of what's going on weather-wise. And well done with that. And Sidney also does a great job producing the show, too. Next week, what we're going to have, John Strasburg's going to be with us. And we've got National Shooting Sports Foundation coming up with us, but I want to spend a little more time with them, so we're going to do that probably sometime towards the end of the month. We're going to get into this ammo issue and gun issues and things like that, and that may be a little longer show that evening. We'll see as we get closer to that. But that's the one nice thing about podcasts, you're not limited to the time, so we run over a little bit. We get to run over a little bit, and sometimes it's hard to get us to keep quiet about enjoying to do a little bit of hunting and fishing talk with you. But anyway, we're going to do that a little later. We'll have John Strasburg will be with us next week from Ducks Unlimited, the Dayton chapter of Ducks Unlimited. They, as everybody else, did not get a chance to have their banquet last year. They're coming back. Their banquet will be September 14th this year. But again, we'll be at the Mandalay. And we'll get with John next week on the show, and we'll get into all the important stuff about that upcoming banquet. If you've been, you know how good of a banquet that is. It's one of the better conservation banquets that is put together. If not, you want to put that on your list to go and enjoy, and we'll get into all that with him next Thursday on the show. Till then, get out and enjoy this outdoors and the weather, and, before you know it, summertime's going to be a thought of the past. So get out and enjoy whatever it is you enjoy doing outdoors. Get out there and enjoy it. Until next Thursday, have a good time doing it, and we'll see you then.